What the hell have I got myself into? Hello again. This time on the bench we'll be looking at all the atrocious wiring that's been left behind in my Nissan Patrol. Now I got this Nissan Patrol about 9 years ago. It's had a whole bunch of accessories from back then that was installed and removed before being sold. And I've kind of added to the mess over the time, as I did get this car when I was 19, and it was the kind of the first car I kind of experimented with adding accessories, and a lot of the original work is still hidden underneath there and it's quite atrocious. So the plan is to strip everything down. I'm going to try pull the dash out, get an idea of what's going on with the wiring, and just fix everything that needs fixing, because the whole thing is just nasty. As you can see, I haven't even started and already got crap hanging everywhere. I got wires that go to some kind of solenoid, and beyond that I don't really know what they do. So I want to investigate and figure out what I need, what I don't need, what I can make better, and just fix everything I can. Alright, here's another one of my bush repairs. Now this is my Winch solenoid box. Just a super cheap auto ridge ride-up one. But as many people would know, these cheaper ones, they have just dodgy little pins. It's got a rubber cap that's meant to stop water going in, but they forever pop off and water goes in there and corrode the pins. And one day out bush, one of the pins snapped off, and well, the remote didn't work anymore. So what I did in its place, I pulled it apart, ran the wires to the controller directly in underneath, reverse engineered where the wires were meant to go, plugged it in, and I ran the lead up there into the car. So I ran the wires in up under the dash, and I removed the switch from the handle and just mounted it to that vacuum switch panel right next to the diff lock switch, and it just clipped in place. Not a perfect fit, but it certainly doesn't fall out. It just kind of squished in place, and there it stayed from there on. Now that's actually been in place, geez, probably last 7 years, so it's actually worked pretty reliably, even though there wasn't the best setup. But I'll fix all that, make it all neat, and might get a need a panel for that spot there. Anyway, that's enough of that. We'll strip further down. Managed to get the engine harness out of the Patrol itself. Digging into it a little bit deeper, I've actually discovered a lot of hidden nightmares. And I believe stuff like this is why she hasn't been running longer than half an hour. I'm not exactly sure what's happened here, but it's completely obliterated some of these wires. It's just melted in, and they're just met all the surrounding wires, and a lot of wires touching that really should not be touching. So this engine harness is complete junk, and I'm thinking I'm going to be either replacing the whole computer and getting a brand new loom, maybe going after market, something like a Holly. But still undecided at this point. I might get another second-hand computer, another harness, and just develop that instead. But we'll have to decide at a later date what we're going to do there. Still a little bit away from actually firing up the engine again. So the engine's going to be coming out, and I'm going to be prepping the engine bay, cleaning that up. And I think this harness is destined for the rubbish bin. It's just absolutely hideous and not really good for anything. So, and I said I was going to
tear apart the interior, pull apart the wiring and sort that. But I kind of got bored with that, so I started playing with the engine bay. Started stripping it down, which is about ready to pull out. So enjoy the time lapse of me getting it to this point. Alright, now I have the engine bay stripped and show where we're up to. So looking down here, both the extractors, both sides are stripped down. The engine mounting bolt is loose, still in there, so it's not going to fall out. The nut's only on by a couple of threads. I can just turn that by hand and that will come off. The transmission bolts, they're about 80% out. Starter motor's out, the wiring's disconnected. I can almost guarantee there's 1 or 2 grounding wires that I've forgotten that will catch me out as I try to pull the motor. So power steering pump's off, air conditioner pump's off, alternator's off. The radiator's been drained. What else have we done? So pretty much what's left, we just got to hook her up, support the transmission, undo the engine mounts, the last transmission bolts, and she's about ready to pull off. So motor's ready to come out. Fortunately, I haven't organised myself a engine stand just yet, so I want to keep myself a little busy, find something else to do until I can collect that. Apart from the engine stand, this is ready to come out. Alright guys, the plan is to pull the motor out the front. So I'm planning to leave the transmission in for the time being. I'll pull that out later and give that a good service later on. But for now, I'm going to be pulling the motor out first. And to do that, I don't want the transmission falling on me. So I'm going to be making up a bit of a bracket to bolt to the trolley jack to mount to the front of the transmission. So I'll start working on that now. Looks like my transmission mounting bracket for the jack is going to line up and work. That should help prevent me getting squashed while I'm pulling the motor out. Lovely. Okay guys, I'm going to end this video off here. Now in this episode here, we start off stripping down the wiring, have a look at that, and I started to try clean it up, but I got a little bit bored with that, so I've since moved onto the engine bay. Started stripping her down. We've got it ready to be pulled out. Got the transmission mounting bracket for the trolley jack, so that we can pull the motor before we pull the gearbox. So that should hold the front up. The back end's going to be still connected to the cross member, so we'll be able to just pop the motor off the front of the transmission, drag it out, lift it up. I've done it in the past, and that's proved to be one of the easier methods on this setup to pull the motor. So that's what I'm doing again here. Now with the computer, we pulled out the original engine loom, had a look at that, and there are just so many wires that are shot out. Some of the wires pretty much welded themselves together, so there's very little wonder why this thing wouldn't run more than a few minutes without just shutting off. So the computer itself may be okay, but I've lost all my confidence in it. I don't want to have any risk of driving this and it just shutting down in the middle of nowhere. So I want to be able to jump in this thing and drive across the country at a moment's notice. So that's where my plan is for this. So I will be upgrading computer. I think I'm going to go complete aftermarket engine management system, brand new loom. So let me know guys what you think I should run. Should I run the Holley Dominator? Should I run an Elite Series Howtech computer? Should I run something else? What do you guys reckon I should run? Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Have you ran a Holley? Have you ran a Howtech? What computers have you ran on these setup? I'm not to any suggestion at this point. My only decision, I don't want to run another standard computer. I've had it. It's been too unreliable. So yeah, I've given up the standard equipment there. So on the next episode, I'll be pulling the motor out. So I'll mount up the jack to the transmission, and then I'll be pulling out the engine, putting that on the end, just an engine stand. And from there, I might start working on the motor, or I might start working further in the engine bay. I haven't decided yet, but we'll see what the future holds. I might get bored playing with the engine bay and start playing with the motor, or vice versa. Might even start tackle the back end again. So stay tuned for that. If you want to see more of these videos, please consider subscribing. So in the bottom corner right here, and turn on the notification bell. That way you know if any more videos drop. So keep an eye for that. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy, and good day.